Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of South Florida Paralegal Studies Certificate Program Information Session Webinar. That is a mouthful. My name is Stephanie Plowman, and I work with the program developer as the program coordinator of the USF program. And we are delighted to tell you everything you ever wanted to know and then some about the paralegal program at USF this evening. Now, at the outset, just one housekeeping matter. This system is incredibly sensitive, so everybody is currently on mute. That, however, does not mean that we don't want your questions. We are always ready, willing, and able to answer any question that may come at us. If you do have a question, you can type it into the questions box that you can find on your toolbar on the GoToWebinar toolbar. So when you type your question in there, it will pop up on my screen and I'll read it out loud so everyone can receive the benefit of the answer. Now, you can feel free to type questions as we're going along, but certainly as we are wrapping up the session this evening, we will open it up to questions at that point. So with all of that being said, let's get started. Now, what we're going to do tonight is talk about the paralegal profession in general a little bit first, and then get into the specifics of the USF program. Now, as far as the paralegal profession goes, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that between 2014 and 2024, the profession is projected to grow by about 8%. Now, this is a very good rate of growth, especially considering everything that's gone on in the economy over the last 7 to 9 years or so. In particular, lawyers and law firms and legal departments have found that it is often quite more cost efficient for them to bring in paralegals. Now, for all intents and purposes, paralegals can do the same type of work as associate attorneys, but for, of course, advising clients and going to court. But as far as the writing is concerned, the research, interviewing clients, working with files, those are all tasks that paralegals can do very, very well. And again, it's much more cost effective for the firms, which in turn is more cost effective for their clients. Now, there are also areas of law which I like to refer to as niche areas, really for lack of a better term, where paralegals are uniquely situated to have a lot of responsibility and a lot of autonomy. Now, there are some areas of law which are a little bit more form-heavy. Real estate is one of them, intellectual property, immigration law, especially if you're ready and willing to keep up with the ever-changing immigration laws, all great areas of law where there are job opportunities for paralegals. And then, of course, there are some areas of law which really never go out of style, for better or for worse. Bankruptcy, sometimes going hand in hand with that, matrimonial law, family law, but really there are job opportunities for paralegals in all sorts of areas of law, and not just in law firms, but in government agencies, with legal departments, various organizations, corporations. So definitely when you're looking for a paralegal position, you don't necessarily need to hone in on simply law firms, because there are law jobs all over the place for paralegals. Now, this is probably my favorite slide that we're going to take a look at tonight. Paralegal is a better job than lawyer. And I always laugh at this slide because in addition to working with our program developer as coordinator of the program, I'm also a practicing attorney. And the best way for me to kind of put this slide in context is to just share a case that I worked on several years ago. We had a big federal civil litigation case that came into my office, and on New Year's Eve day, the defendant turned over 250,000 documents in discovery. And while I was standing there by myself in an empty office watching the delivery person wheel in box after box after box of documents, I just kept thinking to myself, this is a terrible way to start the new year. Now, we were on an expedited trial schedule. We didn't have a lot of time to go through all of those documents, so we brought in about 10 paralegals from one of our programs to help us. And at the outset, it was a fairly basic document review type project. We really wanted our paralegals to go through the boxes and find what was there, make a master list for us, help us find what we needed to find. But as they got more comfortable with the case and kind of got a sense of where we were going with it, they started pulling documents to show us. They assisted with doing legal research, writing motions. There was tons of motion practice in that case, and they came to court with us on a regular basis. Now, the difference between the paralegals and myself was that they were working a fairly normal hours, I would say 9 to 5, 10 to 6, something like that, whereas I was still sitting in the office at 3 o'clock in the morning marking exhibits and eating a pizza for one. So, if you're working in a litigation firm, definitely during trial time, it's going to be busy. You're going to be asked to put in some extra hours. But in general, there's a lot less stress for the paralegals. The attorneys, of course, take on the majority of the stress in the law firms. You won't have to deal with the clients calling at midnight or at all hours. And it is a wonderful way to get into the legal profession, of course, without making the 3-year commitment to law school, and then of course having to deal with the bar exam and all of that. Now, you'll find when you are looking on various job boards for paralegals, whether it be Indeed or Monster or wherever you're looking for a job, that you'll often see that employers are looking for someone who has a paralegal education, a paralegal certificate, or some sort of experience. And the two are quite frankly somewhat interchangeable, because what that law firm, attorney, legal department is looking for, they're looking for someone who doesn't have much of a learning curve. Now, of course, there's always going to be a learning curve in any new job that you start, but what they're looking for is someone who can really hit the ground running. If a new paralegal in a firm is handed a file and said, a new automobile accident case came in today, I need you to draft a summons and complaint. Here's a template summons and complaint from an automobile accident case that we drafted 6 months ago. Here's the file for the new case. Go get me a draft. Now, a paralegal who has education, a paralegal certificate, or legal experience would be able to take that file, take that template of the summons and complaint, take out the old facts, put in the new, and work it up nicely into a draft for the attorney to take a look at and subsequently file. Now, for all of attorneys and myself included, good intentions of wanting to sit down and spend a lot of time and be able to train the paralegals that come into our offices, we really don't have the time for that all the time. So if I have someone in my office who's looking at me, for a lack of a better term, like a deer caught in headlights when I'm asking them to work on this project, it's going to take less time for me to simply draft the summons and complaint myself than it is for me to explain what a summons and complaint is and how it's used in the litigation process. So, paralegal education, paralegal experience, when you're looking for jobs, especially if you're in the program, if you've completed the program and you see a job posting for an opportunity that wants legal experience, well, you do have legal experience from the paralegal program. You'll learn how to draft that summons and complaint I just mentioned, as well as all sorts of other legal documents. Again, what they're looking for is some sort of legal baseline, and a little bit less of a learning curve than from someone who doesn't have any legal education or experience. And then finally, I'm often asked when I do these sessions, how much am I going to make once I earn my paralegal certificate and get out there into the profession? And really, it depends on where you go and work. If you're working for a solo practitioner or a smaller boutique type law firm, you're going to make less money than you would if you were working at a larger, let's say, Wall Street type firm. There's just more money in the coffers at a firm that size. However, in general, those who do have a paralegal certificate do earn slightly more than those who do not have the certificate, according to the National Association of Legal Assistants. So obviously every little bit counts when we're looking to get out into the workforce and make some money. So, education certainly doesn't hurt your mind, your experience, or hopefully your wallet moving forward. Okay, let's talk about the USF program now. Now, this is an intensive 4-month program, which is broken down into 2 core components. The first one is your Essential Skills class. Now, Essential Skills is basically an introduction to the law, legal writing, legal research, courthouse structure, terminology. On the first day of class, you'll walk in and you'll be assigned a hypothetical client and fact pattern, and you'll work that client and fact pattern the whole way through in all of your writing assignments for the class. So you'll start with simple legal writing, such as a demand letter, client correspondence, work your way up to that summons and complaint I mentioned, discovery demands, and finish the semester with a summary judgment motion, which is a fairly weighty document to write and prepare. Now, at the end of the semester, you will put all of your work into your client file folder, also known as a prospective writing sample, to show to employers that not only do you know what all of these documents are and how they're used in the litigation process, but here is a document that you yourself have drafted. Now, in addition to the writing component of Essential Skills, you will also take 3 exams over the course of the semester. Now, Essential Skills will run for the duration of the ground program. So if you're taking the class on campus, the campus classes for 4 months, you will have Essential Skills for 4 months. Now, the remainder of the program, the Wednesday night classes, Essential Skills is taught on Monday nights, every Monday. The Wednesday nights are broken down into 3 different substantive areas of law. So you will have 5 weeks of tort law, 5 weeks of Florida procedures, and 5 weeks of contract law. Now, in each one of those courses, you will have 1 short writing assignment, and you will also take an exam. Now, for all of the course components, essentials assignments, essentials exams, and the 3 substantives, you need to obtain a 70% or higher in order to pass that particular course. Now, all of your instructors are actually sitting judges in the Tampa area, so that is very exciting. We'll have sitting judges teaching you. They are, of course, experts in their field. They deal with procedures and legal writing and these types of cases all day, every day. So you will be in absolutely excellent hands when it comes to the instructors. Now, we have been looking at this slide for quite a while now. We also have an amazing website that all students have access to, Paralegal Space. Now, shortly before the start of both the online and the campus classes, and we're going to talk about the online and how that program works a little bit later in the session tonight. Shortly before your classes will start, you will receive your login to Paralegal Space. Now, at the outset, Paralegal Space is a communications portal among students, instructors, and administrators. But most importantly, there is amazing study support to accompany each one of your classes. Now, when you get your Paralegal Space login after you registered, this is the login page you'll see. So you'll log in. And this is the dashboard that you will see. This, of course, is for our upcoming spring semester. The online classes will have their own dashboard, but it will look exactly the same. Now, you can see over here there are a series of links. We're going to take a look at some of them this evening. Right here, recent announcements. We love to communicate with you via announcement. It's just a really great way to convey information to the entire class, whether it be an assignment or exam due date, a classroom change, time change, whatever information we would like to convey to you, we will do so via announcement. But let's start taking a look at what's behind these links right here on the left-hand side. Now, the first one we're going to take a look at is the syllabus link. And this is an example of our main program syllabus. Now, you can see over here on the left-hand side, all of the classes are set out for your substantive courses. The substantive instructors will post his or her own individual syllabi on the website with reading assignments. So you will simply see the schedule for the substantive classes on the main program syllabus. However, over here on the right-hand side, you will find everything you ever wanted to know and everything you will ever have to do for essential skills from the beginning of the semester, and you'll have to take my word for it, till the very end. So you know on day one what you're going to have to read every single week. You'll know on day one that during week 4, your initial writing assignments will be assigned and they will be due during week 6. So if you know that in your schedule you have something coming up over the 4 months, you can certainly gauge your time accordingly, knowing what your schedule will be each week when it comes to your studies. And I just want to make one, I'm going to self-correct for a minute. I did reference earlier that classes were on Monday and Wednesday. They are Tuesday and Thursday, so I'm sorry for any confusion with that. We can see right here, classes are on Tuesday and Thursdays, essential skills on Tuesday nights. I'm sorry, here I go again. Your substantive classes on Tuesday nights and then essential skills on Thursday nights. Okay. Now, this is the main area of study support for the site, and this is where you're going to be spending the majority of your time when you are working on Paralegal Space. It is where you can find study support that tracks each one of the chapters in your essential skills books, torts, contracts, and Florida procedures. Now, what we recommend is that you read the materials prior to coming to class, come to class and listen to and participate in the lectures, and then work through the corresponding study support. Now, the support is broken down by segment, and you can see, we're just going to go back to the syllabus for a second, that it's not actually not on the syllabus. I'm getting ahead of myself. You can see when you log into the support that it will show you exactly what chapters and in what volume you are working in to make sure that you are working through the correct study support for the materials that you have just read. However, what you do when you're working through the site is essentially just click on the link for the segment you're working on, then click on the chapter, and then work through each one of the chapter sections. Now, we do like to keep it interesting, so there's a lot of interactive study support on the site. You'll find some charts and graphs and helpful breakdowns of the material. But as you can see, lots of interactive study support and lots of demonstrations to help you understand the foreign language of the law. Learning the law really can be like learning a foreign language, and not just because there's a lot of Latin involved. It's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of speaking, it's a different way of communicating, and as with anything, practice makes perfect. So the study support is here for you so you can practice and you can test yourself and you can ensure that you are understanding all of the concepts that you are reading about and learning in class. Now, here's another example of an interactive quiz that you can take studying hearsay when you start to learn about evidence. And there's just all sorts of support very similar to this. We try to make it fun. You can see some little legal cartoons here as well, but we definitely try to keep it interesting and exciting for you to work through. Here is another example of one of our interactive exercises. This is a citations exercise. A citation is the series of letters and numbers that you will see after a case name. And it will tell you exactly where you can find that case, what book you can find it in, and most importantly for your legal writing, what court it was decided in and what year it was decided. So it's very important for you to be able to both read and write citations successfully, read them so you know that you are going to be hopefully relying on a case that is primary authority in your jurisdiction, is binding on the court, but in your writing as well. If someone is reading a motion or a brief that you have prepared and they want to take a look at one of the cases you cited to, if your citation is incorrect, they're not going to do your homework for you and try to find that case and look up the citation. So we actually have an entire citation lab to assist you with both the writing and reading of federal and state citations. And we have lots of practice exams for you for every single segment. For all the materials in the book, we have tons of mock exams, Quizlets, practice exams, so you can test yourself on the materials. Now, these mock exams are just for you. No one can see how you did on them but you. You can take them as many times as you would like. But they're actually a really great indication of the kinds of questions you'll see on your actual exams that do count. But more importantly, that's probably important as well, but more importantly, they are a wonderful review and they help you pinpoint the areas where you may need a little more help, where you may be experts already. But as you can see right here, when you take the exam, you will get instant gratification, find out what the correct answer is, what you got right, what you got wrong, why the correct answer is in fact the correct answer, where you can find that concept in the book if you need a little bit of review, and then an additional study link for it. So lots and lots of mock exams for you to work through. We recommend that students work through the mock exams as they are going through the materials and as they are completing a segment, but certainly prior to taking an exam, one of the exams that counts, you want to work through the mock exams and as a part of your review. Now, in addition to the support that tracks the chapters in your Essentials, Torts, Contracts, and Florida Procedures books, we also have a couple of additional labs on the site for you to work through. I just before mentioned the Citations Lab, but we also have something we like to call the Law Library Lab. Now, the law library is not somewhere where you can do actual searchable research as you would in a brick and mortar law library or on Westlaw or Lexis, the two main legal databases that attorneys and paralegals use. We're going to talk about those in a minute too. But it is an area of the site where you can familiarize yourself with the types of materials you will find when you are researching, so you can both figure out how to work through them efficiently, but also determine the best way to use them in your legal writing. Now, when you are working through the law library, you'll click on one of the books in the stacks and it will open up. And over here on the right-hand side, you can click on the various links and learn all sorts of information about these particular materials. You will also learn, again, in an effort to be efficient researchers, the best way to research in these materials. Do you start in the table of contents? Is there an index? How do you find what you need to find? Being an efficient researcher, and I can't say it enough, is just such an important quality for a paralegal. And in practice, when you are researching online on Westlaw and Lexis, here's our sign-in page for Westlaw, and Lexis is substantially similar. But when you are, oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. When you are researching in practice, Westlaw and Lexis are very, very expensive. And as the clock is ticking, as you are clicking around trying to find a case or a statute or something to help and support your argument, the dollar signs are going up. And of course, those costs are being passed along to your client. Now, in the program, you will have access to Westlaw for the duration of the program. You will have access to Lexis for 1 year from your start date. So you can stay logged on. You can click around as much as you want with no fears that that ticking clock is causing those dollar signs to go up. It really is your opportunity to get comfortable on both of the databases. They are substantially similar. That's why you learn both of them. You also don't know what you're going to get in practice. Because they are so expensive, firms and corporations generally utilize one or the other. When I first started practicing, we were using Westlaw, but then we got a call one day from a Lexis rep who gave us a much better deal, so we switched. So you definitely have to be comfortable with both of them because you really don't know what you're going to be using when you start working. Now, again, they are substantially similar, so it's once you're comfortable on one, there's not a huge learning curve for the other one. But we do strongly recommend that you utilize the time where you have the access to figure out the best ways to research. I'm going to use my favorite example, and I'm going to use it again when we get to the next couple slides. But if you are doing research for an automobile accident case and you enter in as search terms automobile accident, negligence, and injuries, Westlaw and Lexis are either going to come back to you and say, here are 1,000,000+ cases that you can start reading right now, or they're going to tell you, we can't possibly find anything for you because there's just too much. So this really is your opportunity to figure out best search terms to use, databases to look in, how to find things. Westlaw and Lexis also have amazing resources on the respective sites that we strongly recommend that students work through as well. They have short videos, how to find a case, how to find a statute. They have user guides that you can read. They have webinars that you can sometimes dial into, but they really do have amazing support on both of the sites and amazing resources to help you become an efficient researcher. All right, and then the final lab I want to talk to you about is the Legal Writing Lab. Now, there's no reinventing the wheel in the law. Again, if you drafted a summons and complaint for a car accident case 6 months ago, you're not going to start from scratch when you have to draft a new one today. Now, I used to be able to say I can count on one hand the number of documents I've written from scratch in my legal career, but I've been practicing for about 17 years now, so I have to say two hands at this point. But I always start with a template. I always look for some starting point, especially for paralegals, especially for those who may not have ever seen a summons and complaint before. You need some sort of frame of reference. You need to see where to start. And the Legal Writing Lab is certainly very helpful in giving you that frame of reference. Now, you will have access to the Florida templates, but we do have templates for all 50 states and the federal jurisdiction. Now, what you will do when you are working through the Legal Writing Lab is you will click on whatever document you are working on at the top of the page. You'll click on the tab, and then over here on the right-hand side, you will choose that same document. Now, under drop-down box 1, you can listen to an audio lecture about that particular document, and then directly below it, you can take a look at a step-by-step guide that outlines each one of the components that you need to include and why. So it really is very helpful in assisting you to hone in on your legal writing, excuse me, and to certainly include all of the components that need to be in whatever document you are drafting. And then we have an area, it's just for you, convenience for the students. If you would like to keep track of where you've been within the Essential Skills Study Support, you can do that under the very cleverly named Where You've Been tab. Again, this is just a convenience area for you so you can keep track of the support that you have already worked through. If you have worked through support, you will see a little green dot. If you have not, you have seen a red dot. Only you can see them, so again, just for you to keep track, but it is a good way to ensure that you've hit all of the support, hit all of the points within the study support for a particular segment to ensure that you are not missing out on anything. And then for all those who successfully complete the program, we do move you over to a graduate site once you have successfully completed the paralegal program. Now, one thing I did neglect to mention is that all of your exams and assignments are also submitted on Paralegal Space. So assignments will be posted there for you to review. You'll submit your work on the site for your instructor. Your instructor will pull it from the site, return it with any comments, and post your grade on the site. All of your exams are also done on Paralegal Space. So definitely have a computer you're comfortable with, because there obviously is a large technological component to the program as well. But for the graduate site, you will have essentially the same access to the support and labs on demand that you had in when you were in the program prior to completing, but you will not have those exams and assignments that you will probably be very happy to put behind you once the program is over. Now, you'll also see that under recent announcements, we will post job postings when they come in from local employers. There is no career placement at USF for the paralegal program, but there are some things that we do to assist you as you are getting out there into the workforce. The first one, of course, is posting those job postings as they come in from local employers. Also, in your essential skills class, you will have a job strategy section where you will talk about writing your cover letter, reworking your resume so it's attractive to legal employers, and just interviewing skills and such. So that is very helpful as you are maybe reworking some of your materials that you've sent out to employers in the past if you are a career changer and just getting out into the legal field. All right, now to successfully complete the program, you must complete the Essential Skills course and each substantive course. You also need to complete any and all class projects, whether they be library research, the final exams, etc., any other projects, research projects that your instructors may give you. And as I mentioned early on, you must achieve at least a 70% in all three of your substantive classes, as well as 70% in both components of essential skills assignments and exams. Now, as far as attendance goes, that applies a little bit more to the campus students. You are, of course, expected to attend classes as scheduled, and there is a strict 80% attendance policy in both essential skills and each of the substantive classes. So if you run afoul of the attendance policy, you will not successfully complete the program. And of course, obviously things come up over the course of the semester, but certainly if you're missing a class, you're missing a lot of information, especially in your substantive classes where you only have 5 of each of the 3 classes. You're going to miss a big chunk of information if you are missing one of those. So attendance is required. Now, as far as admission requirements are concerned, you do need a high school diploma or GED, fluency in English, word processing, and basic internet skills. Of course, have internet access and email. I mean, I don't know if we have to say that anymore, but you'd be surprised. I've dealt with students who do not have internet access, and that is of course an issue. And the Google Web Chrome browser is Google Chrome. I only use Chrome every day. Google Chrome is the preferred web browser. I'm not going to read through the minimum requirements for the computers. They are set out right there for you. What I always like to say is please have a computer that you are comfortable with, that doesn't crash every couple minutes, that doesn't make you want to pick it up and throw it out the window, because certainly there are a lot of online components, so you want to have a system that is reliable to you, and you also want to be comfortable on the computer. We do walkthroughs of the website, so you will certainly know how to use it and know where to find what you need to find. But as far as submitting assignments, it's as simple really as attaching a document to an email. But we definitely want you to be comfortable with the ins and outs of working on a website and on the computer. Okay, as far as the upcoming schedule is concerned, the campus class starting in January 2018. I can't believe we're already talking about 2018. Evenings, Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. starts January 9th and goes through May 3rd. Tuition for the campus classes is $49.95 plus materials, which are approximately $600. Now, your essential skills books are a required purchase through the program, as they also include technology fees for Westlaw and Lexis and the website. But your other books, Torts and Contracts, you can purchase those wherever you would like. Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, new, used, Nook, Kindle, whatever works for you. The Florida procedures materials will be sent along with the Essential Skills books. So you don't have to worry about ordering those because they will come with Essential Skills. Now, we also have an online paralegal certificate program. The first session of the online program is going to start on November 7th. We're then going to follow the schedule of the campus classes, so the next session will start in January 9th. And then we will have 3 semesters each year. We'll have spring, summer, and fall. So you can expect the summer semester to start within a couple of weeks or so after the spring semester ends in May, and then the fall semester will start in late September, early October or so. But the online program will track those dates. So we're starting November 7th. The next session will start January 9th. But the online program is self-paced. So once you start, you will work through the materials yourself. You have 1 year to complete the program. So there are no deadlines in the online program. You essentially need to just complete all of the program work within your 1 year and prior to your program deadline date. It is attorney or instructor guided, so you will be assigned an attorney or judge instructor who will work with you to complete the program and grade all of your assignments and return them to you with comments and answer any questions you may have and such. You will take Essential Skills and the same 3 substantive classes as the campus students take, Torts, Contracts, and Florida Procedures. Tuition for the online program is $69.95 plus books. Now for the campus classes, we will be capping the class sizes at about 20, 25 students or so. We don't want it to be a big lecture hall type situation for students where not everyone's question can be answered or you're uncomfortable asking a question because there are just so many people around. But also your instructors, again, who are all judges in the Tampa area, don't want to sit down and read 50, 75 or so summary judgment motions at the end of the semester. So we do cap the class size. It's always better to register sooner rather than later. You don't want to wait until a couple of days or so before the semester starts, because then you may not be guaranteed a seat in that particular class. Online, of course, you're self-paced. You're working one-on-one with your instructor, so we don't have limited seating for the online students. Okay, so now any program inquiries, you can reach out to Nancy Giannopoulos, the Assistant Director of Continuing Education at USF. Nancy's email and direct phone number are right there for you. So if you want to write those down, I will keep this slide up for a second. Any registration inquiries, there's the direct number right there. And if you have any questions about the program, obviously we can answer any questions you may have, and certainly sometimes the best question is the one you remember to ask after we have logged off of a webinar for the evening, but certainly you can reach out to Nancy at any time and ask any questions that may come up. I would also direct you to the USF Continuing Education website, where you can get information about the program and where you can also register for the program. So registrations can be taken over the phone, but they can also be done online. Once you go to usf.edu and then Continuing Education, click on Programs on the top of the page, and then you will be able to click on Paralegal program on the left-hand side of the page. Now I'm going to go to the next couple slides, but I'll come back to this one at the end and leave it up as the last slide. So if anyone wants to write down the site and Nancy's information, you'll be able to do so. Now, as far as financing is concerned, we do have a payment plan in place for the on-campus program. Of course, we're setting out dates for the on-campus program that's starting in January, but the total amount of $49.95 is divided into 5 equal payments, with the first payment due on November 3rd. So you'll see then every couple of weeks there will be a program payment. For the online students, that payment plan is going to start for the January start date. So we don't have a payment plan in place for the online students for our November 7th start date, but that will be in place for the January 9th start date. Another payment option is financing private loan lenders. So you can certainly look up online some private loan lenders that give that where you can get an education loan and assist you in financing the program. Now, please do note that since the paralegal program is a non-credit program, it does not qualify for any federal financial aid such as FAFSA. So that will not work, but certainly any private loan lenders could assist you in financing your education. Now, any questions you may have about financing or payments or anything like that, you can call 813-974-3255. And I think that brings us, yes, to the end of our webinar this evening. I'm going to go back to the contact information page so everyone can take down once again the website, but also Nancy's email and her direct number. So if you have any questions about financing or program inquiries or registration, please do feel free to reach out to her. Now, if anyone has any questions, you can, and for anyone, let me take a step back. For anyone who arrived late, very early in the session, I mentioned that this system is incredibly sensitive, so everybody is on mute at the moment, but for me, of course. We just don't want to pick up a lot of background noise. So because you are all on mute, you can type your questions into the questions box that you will find on your GoToWebinar toolbar. When you type that question into the questions box, it will pop up on my screen and I will read it out loud, and everyone will get the benefit of the answer. All right, one question. In regard to FAFSA being available for the program, I am actually going to I'm going to let Nancy know to reach out to you, but I'm going to direct you to Nancy Giannopoulos at USF to discuss that with you. FAFSA is not available for the program because it is not because it is a non-credit program. But I will certainly let I will discuss this. I'm being very mysterious right now, but I'm going to discuss your FAFSA inquiry with Nancy and ask her to reach out to you. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Please feel free to type them away. Again, as I mentioned, the most important question is often the one that you remember to ask after we log off for the evening. So if that happens, never fear. Please do reach out to Nancy at the email address you can see on the screen, and she will be happy to assist. Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll give it another second, let you have an opportunity to write down the number, website, and email address if you haven't already, as I take some notes on my end. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I guess we will call it a night. I'd like to thank you for your time this evening, for your interest in the USF Paralegal Certificate Program, and we hope to see your names on rosters and faces in classrooms, whether they be your actual faces in the ground classes or in the online program. So Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful night. Thank you.